Welcome to another episode of the Lose the Cape podcast. And today we are thrilled to be speaking with Kim Sutton, who is a social media marketing and launch strategist and is very passionate about helping coaches develop, build, and launch their online programs, which I know many of us who run in this circle do. So I'm sure we'll have lots of great questions or lots of great information from Kim today. Not only does she do that, she has 5 children. So I think she's probably going to have some great productivity tips and filling us in on how we can all get it all done in one day. So thanks, Kim, for being with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So first, I just have to ask you, like 5 kids, all yours, adopted, blended family.
All
What's
right. Well, five is actually just mine. My husband and I actually have a total of seven. So,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
So we each got when we met 6 years ago. We each had two. My husband had fantastic idea of having one more. We had her, and then God surprised us and gave us twins.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the we call them the littles. They're 2.5, and then almost 1.5. The twins are 1.5. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Are they identical or fraternal
they're
twins?
fraternal boy girl.
Wow.
Yes.
That's an extra blessing there, huh?
Oh, definitely.
So, how on earth, I mean, let's just jump right into it. How on earth do you manage that many children that young and running a business from your home? Do you have help? Do you tell us your
I
secrets?
Yeah, I do have help. I took the plunge. I really we tried having a nanny for a little bit, but and she was great. I have to say she was great, but a nanny does cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we stepped back from that, and then we actually started daycare in January of this year. Let me tell you though, daycare is just as expensive as a nanny, only because they go into another environment and they get all the germs and they bring them
Yes.
home, and then you can't send them in if their temperatures that just that little bit above. So in the
Right.
first 4 months of daycare, there was only 1 week where I did not have at least one home with me every day.
Well, and then you're it's just a lose-lose situation because then you're also losing work time and you're still paying
And
for
you still have
them.
to pay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was still working full time, after my second child was born, that first winter, I'm not even joking, between October and January, largely because of germs they pick up at daycare. I don't think a full week went by that one of them or I was not sick.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
nightmare.
It was a battle. We had, a frequent flyer card at the pediatrician's office, and she said, just wait till May. You'll be fine come May. And that was exactly it. I hate to say it. I mean, it was probably a longer 4 months than the first 4 months after the twins were born. Just stress wise, because I'm trying to keep clients happy and get everything done around here. And then there's that money going out the door for a daycare that we're not using. But she was right. It was 4 months. Come May, it all got better. And now, besides the normal colds, summer colds or allergies, yeah, you just got to keep on breathing, keep moving forward, and remember it will get better.
That's exactly right. So before all the children came along, were you working outside of the home, or when did you launch your own business and how did you get into this?
I actually started in a completely different industry. I have my Bachelor of Interior Architecture degree.
Oh wow, yes, that's different.
Yeah, completely different. So, although I'm in Ohio now, I'm in the middle of cornfields, quite literally in Ohio. I was an interior designer in New York City, Greenwich, Connecticut, Chicago,
Oh
and then
wow. That is
yeah,
quite a difference.
yeah, very big difference. And I was designing trading firms, their headquarters, and then I moved out here to Ohio about I think 12 years ago to design schools to be closer to my ex-husband's family, and completely different ballpark. And when you go from designing high-end corporate offices to designing schools where your budget is like, I think I had like 1,000th of the budget.
Oh
And
gosh.
it was also impacted by taxpayers. So if the taxpayers didn't want to pay to have school improvements, then I was out of a job, and that's what happened. So, and Dayton, Ohio is not the mecca of interior design, let me tell you. So,
Wow.
yeah, I did. I tried to start my own firm doing interior design around here, but I realized it wasn't where my passion was.
Hmm.
And life happens in its mysterious and great ways. And my marriage ended. I ended up rolling burritos at Chipotle for a little bit just to make ends meet. And then I worked as an administrative assistant. And I realized I was really good at it. I knew what I was doing for my boss there. I met my husband. We needed a little bit of extra money. And I know people say don't start a business for the money,
Yeah.
but that's what we did. That's what I did. And it just, I realized I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved being self-employed. So that was almost 4 years ago, and it's just grown into something great. And I love being able to spend all this time with my kids.
So tell us a little bit more about exactly what you do.
I help coaches get their systems set up. I say I'm a social media marketing and launch strategist, but I do a lot more than that. It's everything from building out their websites and their online courses and programs to doing all the launch planning, including the social media marketing, the email sequences. I'm an Infusionsoft certified partner, and I'm about to get my mastery certification from digital marketer. So
Oh,
I've got
wow.
all, yeah. So it's been a lot of fun in both the strategy and the technical side, and that's where a lot of people have one side or not the other. But I love both, and I think that probably comes from my design background.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Um, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here, but our co-host Bev is trying desperately to get into this interview, so I think she's finally on board.
We also have two cats and a dog, and I was getting ready to launch my own product. And that morning, the cat decided to step on the surge protector of my computer twice, turning it off.
Oh my gosh, that's just what
So,
happens
and you just
sometimes.
have to, I mean, just like kids, just like clients, you have to keep on breathing. Yes, you will probably cry a little bit or cuss and throw things at the cat to get it out of your office. But
Oh my
um,
gosh.
I've experienced these tech glitches myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we
they
go.
happen. You mentioned on your website that you said that you were existing but not living. This has all changed. I work at home as the owner of two successful companies with fabulous clients and an incredible team. So, what's the second company and how does that fit all in?
So that I had to say is in a little bit of transition right now. When we started the company, and I think this is important for anybody to realize, the company name was Sutton Creative Studios, and I was a virtual assistant, but I also my husband is also an artist, so we were doing graphic design and web design a little bit as well. But I had have a magnificent coach who last year said to me, Kim, how is that congruent with all this strategic work you're doing?
Hmm.
People don't look at creative studios for strategy and
Right.
systems and all of that. So in May of 2015, I broke off part of the company, Sutton Strategic Solutions, into the whole strategic side and all the technical business systems and automation side of the business. So Sutton Creative Studios is still out there. It's just not the one that I am um, actively promoting. It still gets a good bit of work. Because
Hmm.
that's the type of work that can really spread itself
Yeah.
uh, because people see a website and they see who created it, so it keeps on going. But yeah.
Well, and Bev may be able to chime in on this too, because she's also an entrepreneur, and I think that happens. That tends to happen a lot
Mhm.
with our businesses. Like, well, I don't know, with yours, you have such a specific niche. She makes jewelry and helps entrepreneurs, but I know with mine, it's evolved multiple times, and kind of as you grow and your skill set evolves. Uh, I think the businesses do that too, but that's great that you're able to still keep the first one functioning while you build out. your new area too.
Yeah, and I'd have to say that that comes from my need to be creative and not always left brain because
Mhm.
I'm actually looking over to my bookshelf to see the book right now. It's a Jumpstart Your Business Brain by Doug Hall, I think. I can't see the first name, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was. So there's an assessment in the test, and after taking the assessment, I was called radically right-brained. So even though I'm doing, a campaign build out in Infusionsoft and all this, you know, very technical and just logical planning, maybe not always logical, but you know what I mean. Like I still
Mhm.
have to have that creative outlet.
Hmm.
So whether and it's not recommended for all business owners, but I even do my own web development or design builds. I don't want other people doing it because it is that creative freedom that I need.
Yeah.
Mhm. Something I can definitely relate to. I mean, I know Alexa mentioned I make jewelry, but I think it's really important to have all those other creative outlets to kind of balance everything out with your business.
Definitely. And even if you're not doing something for yourself, just getting out, and I know we'll probably discuss that, but just getting out of your norm. Like
Mhm.
I find I need to leave my desk.
Hmm.
Um, before the littles started daycare, I realized that there would be weeks that I wouldn't go out, and that makes me sound like such a hermit. But my husband would go to the store and run the errands on his way to and from work, and I wouldn't have to leave. So I didn't, right? Um,
Mhm.
Hmm.
I didn't even know that there was a new grocery on the other side of and but now that I have that where I'm taking them to and bringing them home from daycare, it's gotten the juices flowing a lot more as far as creative ideas.
Mhm.
Before you hopped in, Bev, we were talking about the fact that she used to work in New York City doing design, and now she's in literally the cornfields in Ohio. So I was
Oh
laughing
wow.
when you said that there was a new grocery store. That was probably a really big deal too.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
I live right outside Boston in the city, and it's still a big deal when we get a new grocery store even here.
I mean, all they did was tear down one and put up the other, but I gotta tell you, or put up the new rebuild. But there's a sushi bar inside, which
Oh,
you,
sushi.
you
Ooh.
you don't you don't find that around here very much. I
I bet
so
not.
miss Chicago and New York and the food. And then there's actually curbside grocery pickup, which I
We
have not
still
used.
don't even have that
Ooh.
here.
Yeah, so I can go online and order all my groceries, and yeah, just go and drive in.
That's handy.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. So, well,
Uh,
let's talk a little bit more about balancing the children and the business. You mentioned, and your kids are still small, with three under the age of three, right?
Right.
Um,
But my oldest two though are 10 and 13.
okay, so they, I'm sure, help out quite a bit.
Well, they don't have a choice because
They,
in
they
order for
will help.
mom and dad to keep their sanity, and if
yeah.
they want to be rewarded, if they want, money to buy games or go do stuff, then there are chores around the house that need to be done.
Mhm.
Even at 10 or younger. I mean, they've been doing chores for 3 years, so the youngest was only 7 when he learned how to do dishes. So
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you envision keeping them full time at daycare, or and do you then have a fairly normal business hour structured day, or how do you balance that?
I don't see the daycare situation changing at all. It's very regular. I don't have to worry about a nanny getting sick or calling off for any reason, except for a few holidays a year. I know that I've got that reliable care.
Hmm.
Um, so I would have to see that happening. But with that, no, daycare really has helped regiment.
Yes.
Did I say
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
schedule? I tend to make up words. Um,
Don't we
so
all?
so although I will get up early. I don't know why my clock is saying get up at like 6 o'clock lately. I mean, my day to work really is 9 to 5, and then the babies will get picked up. They'll come home, and then they're in bed by 8:30. So that's not to say I'm not doing anything work related, because that would be a big lie. In those hours, I just gotta be honest there. Um, I really can't focus, how I want to focus until after they go to bed, and I'm trying to get better at that. Last week was honestly the first week that I've watched anything on TV in a while for me, so I caught up on Confession, Orange is the New Black.
Oh,
and
so good.
And I just started a new show, but it's helped. And I also just in the last few months had to get my sleep schedule right, because I was only sleeping 2 or 3, 4 hours a night, and that's not healthy. You cannot do that.
No, you can't. It really does make you insane. I mean, those
quite literally.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, getting enough sleep has certainly been a bit of a challenge. And I'm sorry if you guys have touched upon this in the part that I missed, but what do you think have been, for you, what have been some of the challenges with being a self-employed mom, versus what it was like when you worked out of the house? I mean, do you notice any differences in the challenges or similar challenges?
The biggest challenges carried with me since I was employed outside of the home, and that's confidence. Being able to tell people I know what I'm doing. This is my rate, so take it or leave it. And hearing some clients even say, "Well, I don't know how you do it. You've got all these kids. How do you do it?" And it's not. It's I just do.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes I just want to retort, "Well, I have 5 kids, but I'm meeting my deadlines. But why aren't you?" Right? Like. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
No, I mean I'm not going out, and I'm not doing all the things that people who don't have kids can do. Like a date night is a rare thing, and we need to fix that. But that's just because we're crazy busy, and so maybe that's a blessing, right? I have to compress all my. I know what my time is. I need to get it done, and I can't get distracted. I don't have the luxury of getting distracted on other things if I want to keep on growing.
Yeah, I definitely think, as moms, that's something that it's a skill that we all kind of need to have, is time management and learning how to work with the time we have and how to use our time productively, because it's limited.
Right. And thank you, sweetie. Multitasking, I used to be proud of my ability to multitask, and then I realized I got a swift lesson that multitasking is not a good thing, because you're cutting down your efficiency drastically. Like the second you add on a second task, you're losing 20% of your efficiency.
It's funny because you still hear it like I just can't not multitask. I think that's largely because I'm severely ADHD, but it's definitely true that if you're bouncing from thing to thing. So it's funny. It was when I interviewed
my husband
Bev.
Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hi.
I love you.
When I interviewed Bev for the very first time on the podcast, she was one of our first guests originally, like 2 years ago, and she told me about the Pomodoro method. And,
Yes.
And I remember thinking about that, and I have tried really hard to implement that. And it is true. When I shut off everything else, and I've talked about it, gosh, Bev, you really influenced me because I talk about it all the time now. But when I do shut off everything else and just concentrate solely on one task, for 20, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, it's amazing how much more focused and how much better the product is than if I'm.
Yeah, so. I mean, just shutting off the Skype notifications, the Facebook notifications, the email notifications, right away. And I have to just share. I turned off my monitor for this interview, just so that I wouldn't be getting the feedback on my the glare on my glasses. So my working at home when your spouse is also working at home with you part-time can be as much of a challenge sometimes as working with kids. He didn't realize that that I was on camera right now, and I don't mean to embarrass him and share, but he didn't realize I was on camera a couple of weeks ago during a mastermind, and he was getting ready for work and walked in his towel.
Oh.
Hello, honey. Here.
That's hilarious.
It's all those little challenges, and sorry for a little side story, but that's great. This has been going on since day one. My very first interview with a prospect, I was sitting in my living room in our old house, which is where my office was, and we had a male cat and a female cat, and they walked in and started doing right in the middle. Right? Like I'm looking at the screen and I can see it right above my shoulder.
Oh
my gosh.
I just started tapping my husband, and I was like, look at my screen. The guy, thankfully the prospect who did it and being a client, loved to monologue. Like he would just sit there and talk for a half hour or an hour, and I don't think he even looked at the screen. I'm like, what do I do? He's like patting my leg, like, stay here, just keep on smiling, pretend you don't notice it. So last week when I see him walk across the room in my monitor with a towel, I just quickly went and I turned off my monitor really fast, and then I see some LOLs, Kim, in the chat, like, oh, you saw it.
It's definitely something you don't have to worry about when you work in an environment. Cats doing it in the background and people walking around in towels. All their own challenges. Oh my gosh,
but if I couldn't laugh at it, then it would just, what's the point, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. You have to be able to roll with it and to laugh with it. But So, do you have any particularly good resources that you use other than daycare to balance out? I would imagine just trying to feed all the family and get kids ready for school and all that stuff is quite an undertaking. What do you have in place that helps you guys get that all balanced?
Well, because my husband is not working a conventional 9 to 5 outside of the house, he's a lot of help. I cannot cook dinner without burning it, quite literally. Like mac and cheese out of a box is just a problem for me, but it's because I'm trying to do too many things. So I'm very lucky that I've got a husband who absolutely loves to cook. And my sons are learning from him, and they love to cook too. So I've got them in place. That sounded really bad, but I think you understand.
Yeah.
But we're very much a team around here, and although the boys aren't in here right now, they know that I'm the primary breadwinner, and Mom's got to work to get things done, so we all have to pitch in around here to get things done.
Yeah, that's great. That's the way it has to be.
Unfortunately, my whole family is back in New York. I'm from Rochester originally. My husband does have some family here, but we don't spend a lot of time with them. But just within our house, we call ourselves Team Awesome, and we get it done.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but I think that's a great skill that you're imparting on your children about being part of a team and working with. And it sounds like everyone cooperates really well with one another.
Oh yeah, and then my husband's a 13-year-old. You're going to get a lot more girlfriends when you're older if you know how to cook. So I'm going to teach you how.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
And if you don't smell bad, so I'm going to teach you how to do laundry too. They're not our child sleeps. Don't get me wrong, but kids do need to learn before they go to college, and they're just getting a head start. But kids get chores all over, chores, money, and allowance, and that this is how they get it. So.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I had chores growing up, and I think it made me a better person. And I went to college knowing for a long time how to do my laundry and iron because I was taught at a young age.
Exactly. Oh, I have a funny story. Speaking of ironing and ironing boards and how little I iron, this isn't the funny part of the story, but we had to go to Georgia for a funeral last week, and we were in the hotel room, and my daughter opens up the hotel closet, and she says, "Look, Mommy, we have a surfboard." I was like, "Oh my gosh, my child does not know what an ironing board is because she never sees me use it." Yeah, total
I don't
aside.
even think we have an ironing board. We just throw it back in the dryer for a few more minutes.
That's my method.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably
that's
more efficient, quite honestly.
totally my method. So, okay, well, we are getting close to wrapping up. So if with all this going on, do you ever have the opportunity to have time for yourself and do things that are good for you? What do you do to get your fill?
Well, I have my faith, so do I go to church. I have my church community.
Mhm.
I love to read. I am very blessed to have my husband here as my partner in all things. When he sees that I'm getting stressed out, he will actually go and start the bathtub and
Oh,
then come back out here
Oh,
and say,
that's so sweet.
I am not turning it off. So you can either let it overflow or you can give yourself a break.
that
so
is really sweet.
so he will go in there and yeah. So he'll force my hand, and so will the boys. Like my 10-year-old, um, he wants to be a barista when he's older. So he practices his coffee techniques on me. Um,
Ooh.
I have to say, my own problem with giving myself a break is me. Like, I
Mm,
don't want to miss anything with my family.
mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I realize it's not healthy to be here all the time. So, as much as my husband does try to kick me out of the house sometimes, I just need to start doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, even just getting out and taking a walk or something where you just can go have a few moments to yourself, I think is good as well.
Oh, absolutely. Or, I
Yeah.
mean, my biggest thing is going to the grocery store for a few minutes by
Hmm.
myself
Hmm.
and not having to worry about what's hidden in the cart when I'm leaving.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. All right. Well, before we let you go, can you just make sure that everybody knows where and how to find you?
Yeah, the best way is um, SuttonStrategicSolutions.com is my company website. I can also be found on Twitter at the Kim Sutton. Kim Sutton was already taken, so just remember to put the in the beginning.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for imparting your knowledge on us, and I know you're very busy, so I appreciate that.
No, thank you
Kim?
so much for having me here.
Absolutely.